because all these future-oriented cars basically is modified for the automation purpose. So right now we are at Changshu City of East China's Jiangsu province, and today we look at all these self-driving cars. So this is the coolest intelligent driverless vehicle competition. And we talk about, actually, this is not the first time to hold this kind of contest. And I have a special guest to introduce you more the features of this year's 2019 IVFC. So as a jury, we're the judges for today's competition. One of the highlights for today is it is the very first time we give a challenge as without GPS to support, or we actually have the others to interfere with the GPS. Then we look at how these driverless cars can deal with all these problems. So we basically will look at to block certain items to see how the car reacts, and we also have the interference unit to look at how the information they can transmit. If, let's say, we can deal with the GPS interference unit, then which means we have that capability to deal with the interactions of the hackers. We talk about the self-driving cars. If they can park or travel underground, then they also is good to travel at a mining plant, a tunnel, and other underground areas. So we talk about cars without GPS compared to the car with GPS. What's the challenge? So the car without GPS is additional challenging because they cannot positioning themselves. So look at this year's competition. Only 5 teams. That's from yesterday. The registration, only 5 cars apply for without GPS competition, and the other more than 20 teams, they apply for the competition that cars with GPS. So for today was the things we need to look at. So we have 10 tasks to shoot today. So we talk about the GPS blocking, and we also will look at, we put the cars at a complex, dynamic, changing scenario and look at how cars react. And also the car should surpass the low-speed traveling social cars, or the cars actually from the other household. And we also have the emergency cases, like the things dropping from the previous cars. So this kind of the emergency case, we will like say how self-driving cars react to all these sudden cases. So we look at actually all these is quite close to the reality, right? So today we also talk to the A professor, and we look at the A1 car. That's also the car for the competition, and we look at that this is the A car for the competition, and it's also modified, make it more smart. The smarter car, so we have the staff sitting inside, and later on will be the other person or no person for sure, because driverless. So can we look at this car? So compared to the normal passenger car, look at the look is very different. So look at the top, like this kind of the sensor. So this is the laser sensor. So that's the 32 lines sensor, or the laser radar. So here actually we remove GPS. So look at, actually we have moved some tools, because we talk about this car later on will participate in the GPS without GPS competition. That's basically the elevated expressway competition. So later on, we will look at this car without GPS. So basically, cannot really positioning itself, and then drive at a elevated expressway. We'll look at how this car can react. So basically, all these lasers, sensors are the eyes for the car. So we talk about this is quite artificial intelligence developed, right? So we can have this kind of the result. So we talk about the self-driving cars actually embrace a lot of cutting-edge technologies, and the driverless cars actually talk about the GPS positioning, we talk about the audio visual positioning, and also all these kind of different cognitive computing or algorithm all included. This is a really complex artificial intelligence technologies all here in this one car. So as the judge introduced, there are a lot of differences compared to this smaller car and our normal family passenger cars. So we will check out more later in the competition. We see the car already leaving from its parking lot, and then we have a car for the judges. So we look at a competition car will followed by a judge's car. So the judges will basically on board at the later car and make the judgment. So we will also on board to give our viewers a closer look at the whole competition. So let's start our journey and follow the previous two cars. The car at the very front, that's the modified driverless vehicle. And then follow it, the silver one, that's the car for the judges. So we talk about the self-driving car, but we still see one person inside the car. Why? We talk about the driver, or that's the person in the car. We talk about we want to make sure, guarantee everything is safe, not only for the car, and also for all the traffic conditions. So for the cars, we have one person inside, but for sure, don't need to worry. We have two cameras inside. And we also have the equipment to monitoring the behavior of the staff inside. So if any action taken by the person inside the car that break the rule of the competition will stop the competition. So basically that person in car not really responsible for driving the car. So still the car moving it forward based on all the sensors, lasers, radars. We can see right now we're coming to the entrance of the ring road. And this is also the point. So we have to look at whether the car is capable to identify the road. So we have 4 judges inside in this silver car. And then coming up is a challenge for a dynamic and complex scenario. So the self-driving cars need to surpass the car in front of it. That's a car that's with a slow speed. So the self-driving cars, look at there are 3 cars in front of the driverless car. So the task is the car, the blue one, need to surpass the previous cars. So this is another testing task. So look at that, there are 3 white cars. They are a simulation of normal social cars. So you can see right now it's changing the lane. And the 3 cars are coaching cars. Basically, they're representing the cars like quite a normal scenario. You can see another car surpassing it. So look at this, actually add additional task, add additional challenge. So we look at whether this testing car can identify the whole scenario, the whole environment, because this is a quite dynamic and a complex environment. This is quite a normal reality in your day-to-day life. So we will see whether this self-driving car can tell the whole scenario, identify the cars on the road. So right now we talk about our speed is around the 60 kilometers or 80 kilometers. So right now we are driving at around 80 kilometers per hour. So this is a testing task. So we have the cars in front of the intelligence car, and we also have other cars like ourselves add additional challenges to this car. So basically this car should identify my car and also the other cars surrounding. So the car will decide whether it should change the lane or not. And later on, the car also need to perform a task, which is to surpass the car in front. So there's still one person sitting inside the car, but that person just guarantee everything is safe, not only for the car, but also to the surrounding environment. But that person should not touch anything. And coming up is another task, that's the construction road. And I believe we also have another car. So that's another car for the competition. That car, I believe we just drive very fast, so we basically catch up the previous car, so we need to stop. So let the self-driving cars go first. So this is another simulation. This is a construction road. So you can see the self-driving cars need to first identify the environment. So need to make the decision, and this is quite a complex scenario. So need to identify and decide to go which lane, at what speed. So the judge's car is in front of us. And you are now watching the live stream coming to you on CGTN New Media. And this is the 2019 China Intelligence Vehicle Future Challenge. So this is in Changshu City of East China's Jiangsu province. And look at today, actually all these contacts, all the testing positions, all the simulations of day-to-day real scenario. So it's even not that easy for the drivers, for the human beings. So this is quite a narrow space. So it's really a challenging task for the skills, not only for the machine, not only for the driverless cars, but also for the real person if you're driving in this kind of situation. So we have a kind of algorithm. Basically, the computers or the driverless cars basically will produce a map. So that map basically is a grade-based map. So basically it's mapping all these scenarios into different grades, and that grade will tell the driverless cars which road is accessible or not. So look at all the ride barriers basically in the map. Is 0 in the map. So all the zeros in the map means the way not accessible. So if the road is okay to go through, then that will be 1 in the map. So that's the algorithm. So we are right now turning back. So we have 2 tasks. The task we just had is entering to the ramp, and then coming up we also have another task, leaving the ramp. But before that, we'll also have another testing position. So we can gear up. So coming up, we will see whether we also have another task. See a car accident scenario. And actually for our car, because we at the back of the car, left back, so the self-driving cars actually all the time monitoring and identifying our car to make sure not will change the lane and cause any accident. So for our car, also add additional difficulty to the driverless car. And also during the whole competition, you can see we have the white cars, that's the coaches cars. That coaches cars basically is a simulation of the normal other social cars. So it's just like the reality, it's like the real scenario at the expressway. We have the cars surpassing the driverless cars, and to see whether the cars can make reaction. And right now we're coming to the accident part. So the cars of the block up by the accident. So look at all the white cars as well as our car. All the difficulties for the driverless cars. We talk about in the end. By the end of the day, why we want to do this automotive car is we want to bring it to our day-to-day life. So all these testing positions, all these tasks, no matter is a surpassing task or a ramp entering, leaving task, the construction road, and all these tasks, basically we will see the driverless cars can deal with all these real life scenarios. And we also have task that's a temporary check for driving under the influence. So basically, we will have the police to stop the car and check drunk driving. So we look at the car, basically, so far so good. And you are looking at this car is the last year's champion from Xi'an Jiaotong University. And he also had a quite amazing performance yesterday. So no matter look at it's changing the lane or it's accelerating the speed, it's really good. Very sound performance. So look at here, the simulation is the police checking drunk driving. So we talk about is also another normal scenario. So you need to slow down and in the line one after another. So this is a really narrow space. And we will check whether the car can drive smoothly or not. So this is a scenario of police checking drunk driving. And coming up is another task is we have a car in front of our driverless car. So look at there's a box falling objects, right? So you can see the objects here. And the car identified and chose another lane. So this is a box actually we chose for the competition, but you never know what kind of things the falling objects could be. It can be a box, but it's also maybe a sharp objects. So the other good thing is to adding the point is actually the car changing lanes not to our lane, right? It changed to the right hand side. It's the right lane. So this is also consider the safety to the other cars. So for human beings, actually, we normally just look front, right? So we also can look back through the rear view mirrors. But look at this car. It have a 360 degrees of lasers, radars, cameras all around. So basically had a really wide scope of scanning. So talk about our competition. We started from a parking lot and we will also end the competition back to the parking lot. So the parking skill also the final task. So for today's competition, Changshu government and the people also give a lot quite support. You can see they actually block the whole traffic for the competition purpose. So like see right now here we have 4 parking positions, but only 1 position is allowed to park. So this is also task, a parallel parking. For the new hand, you know it's not easy. So this is really hard for human being, especially for the new drivers. And let's look at our driverless cars. So basically, you have a quite good program in place, then that's not a difficult task for the car because they just follow certain rules or program. Look at is whether park at the center place And this is also end the competition. This is the end for this car. So this is the competition for this car, the elevated expressway. All right. So let's get off the car and give our viewers a closer look. So this is last year's champion from Xi'an Jiaodong University. And the car just finished the competition of elevated expressway. So we talk about the car also have additional tasks because it removed the GPS antenna. So far we talk about the whole journey. The car actually had quite very smooth performance. The person inside the car is not the driver. It's the person, let's say it's the security or the safety person, the staff, to make sure the car will not impose potential risk to the car itself or to the surrounding environment. So talk about the whole development level of the intelligence cars. China quite leading the world. For United States, they have Google for sure. So they actually cutting the edge. But look at China, we attach great importance on the development of the artificial intelligence, and also the government launched a new plan to further develop this sector. So also mentioned that driverless vehicle is also one of the 6 priorities. So we have from the government, central governments, they have the policy in place to support us. We also have the IVFC, the China Intelligence Vehicle Future Challenge. We have very good platforms. So you can see this all conducive for a leapfrog development of artificial intelligence as well as the intelligence vehicle. So we talk about, is it possible that one day we could have a driverless car in our home? There's still a lot of challenges. So we talk about there's still people or cars on the road not follow the rules. So that's basically is the bottleneck to the cars, driverless cars. And we talk about extreme road situation or extreme weather condition, like storm. So anything challenging to human beings is also quite challenging to our driverless cars. So for all the viewers, just now we give you a whole look at the vehicle cars to complete one round of the competition. And so far, this car had a really amazing performance. And we talk about it looking forward. With the development of intelligence technologies, we might have a car back home, but still, that's still a long way to go. But for sure, we will not stop here. That's the end. Thank you for watching.